Hello, I'm Keith F. Sheldon. Welcome to the first episode of Son of Swift Genealogical Pursuits. I am Keith F. Sheldon, host, and I'm the Son of Swift. I have been an amateur genealogist for the past 20 plus years, and I've been sharing my research as I've gone, primarily on a Tumblr blog that I started in 2013, sonofswift.tumblr.com. And lately, I've decided to step up sharing my research and research tips and everything, and felt that a podcast series, in addition to some other ways, is the excellent way to do it. There are a lot of great other amateur genealogists out there. Now, of course, I say amateur because I do not do this professionally. I am an employee of the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., employee of the federal government. Everything I say during the course of this podcast is my own. I do not speak for the library here. I do not work at the local history and genealogy reading room or division at the library. I work in preservation. But I have been a researcher for some time. I have had a lot of information I've gathered from family documents, from stories, from histories, and then, of course, stuff that I found on my own research, census records, newspaper articles, and just various other records and forms. And I want now to just get this all out there so I can connect with family, so I can break down more of the brick walls that I'm running into. And so that not only do I learn more about my family, but I can help others learn more about theirs. So there's a couple ways you can reach out to me. You can follow me on Tumblr, sonofswift.tumblr.com. I post there regularly. I have over 10 years of posts going back on family history research. It was the Genealogy Gems podcast recommended doing blogging for genealogy work, and I took their advice. Lisa is the host. I can't remember her last name right now, and this is live. This isn't edited, and I'm going to be coming once a week, typically on Tuesdays. This week, with the presidential debate last night, I wasn't comfortable coming on last night. I was a bit too tired. So here tonight, it is September 11th, 2024, the 23rd anniversary of the September 11th attacks. That's definitely weighing on a lot of people today, and everyone, a lot of people that were alive at the time of the attacks, thinking back to where they were. Everyone remembers it's one of those historical moments that everyone remembers where they were. So I'm using this. I'm not using this. I'm just thinking of that as I'm preparing to start launch this series. I've been thinking about doing something like this for a while, and in fact, I'm doing two new things coming through with my genealogy research. Continues to be the Tumblr. There's now this podcast series, and then there is going to be a series of books with my research. I'm not going to make it one large book with all my research for my side of the family or my ex-wife's side of the family or others. But different sections. The key thing is publishing and get them included in library collections, get them available online, so that it's not locked behind the Ancestry paywall, so it's not locked behind other paywalls. It's accessible, and by putting it in print form, gives it a little bit more, makes it a little bit more real, I would say. Not to say that there's anything wrong with Ancestry. I've used it a lot, but there's always a fear that a lot of the digital stuff can go away. Tumblr has gone through different owners since I started the blog. There's a worry that maybe someday Tumblr will stop being as useful as it is, or in some cases not be available at all. But for now it is. So let's start off by taking a look at the blog and what I have to say about why this podcast is called Son of Swift. So my family name, Shevlin, it may not be a name you're commonly hear of. It is actually not that common. It is Irish derivation. The English spelling, there's actually several English spellings. My specific section of the family went with Shovlin. We've seen Shovelin, Shevlan, Shevlan. Basically, anyone where you see sh vowel v l vowel n most likely is a cousin, distant or otherwise. So it's Irish surname, anglicized form of the Irish Gaelic O'Shovlin. Now, yes, it's Sibhlein is the original Gaelic spelling. BH makes the V sound, the sh from the SEI. So even though you see this and may want to say Sheblin, it's still pronounced the same, Shovlin. It is a patronymic origin derived from the first name of the father of the initial bearer. This instance, the name denotes son of Shovlin. The personal Shovlin being derived from Cheval, meaning swift. So therefore, the name coming from son of Shovlin, Shovlin coming from Swift. So therefore, son of Swift. Now you can take that however you see it. I'm not someone who it seems like I'm particularly fleet of foot, but I like to think I could be a smart guy from time to time. You can feel free to weigh in on your own things, and all this information, surnames and histories, it's stuff that's available online. There's the surname database, there's Ancestry, there's various other databases with surname histories. So basically, look, if you're interested in your name, look into part of it. Now, the key thing, first, to start off with talking about this podcast and what I'm trying to do with it, is to acknowledge where we come from. For that, partially, I'm going to use things like my own ancestry tree. I did used to have my own separate site that I use, but I switched to entirely going to Ancestry. That way, it's something that is easily shareable and plus connects with certain other people that are also doing their own history. So here we have a horizontal look at my family tree. Now, of course, those members of my family that are still living are listed as living, so no personal information getting out. So we're looking here. You see specifically where I've been working on lately on my tree, and that is as part of the publishing aspect, what I'm calling the Son of Swift branch tales. The first branch I'm looking at is my Shovlin branch. Now, Shovlin is the name I've carried with me my whole life. I was even asked once about whether I would revert to the Irish spelling, and I think that would be just too confusing for everyone. But you could see here that you go back one generation to my parents, all of a sudden my name is only half of my story when you look at my parents. Then you go back another generation, you have Shovlins, Roaches, Johnsons, and Dunns. So now Shovlin is only 1/4 of the story. But then even further back, Shovlin, Perrier, Roach, Allen, Johnson, Brown, Dunn, Gartley. So now we're looking at 1/8, then 1/16, then so further back as we go. Now, of course, I've only been so fortunate in what I've been able to find in my family history with my name. I was able to track down the first of my family in America. That's James J. Shovlin, who emigrated in 1855 from Ireland. I've had very mixed amount of luck in things I've found in America. In fact, I've been much more successful in what I found in America than what I have found in Ireland. I know that from the information I shared at the beginning, the surname thing it mentioned County Offaly. There's County Mayo, County Donegal in Ireland that the name seems to be common. There is Ardara in Donegal, which is in the north but not part of Northern Ireland, that still has quite a few Shovlins today. In fact, there's even a Shovlin funeral home there. But I have yet to find any definite information connecting my great-great-great-grandfather to an exact place in Ireland. I have been able to find a picture thanks to a cousin of mine. I know that he passed away 26th of August 1917 in Sugar Notch, Luzerne County, Pennsylvania. I have visited his grave. And now it does say that I have 2 hints here, but Because of my I'm fortunate being an employee. I working at a library. I have access to Ancestry Library, so I'm able to do my research without having to get an Ancestry account. And there are lots of places you can look that you do not it does not require having a paid account to do research. There's different databases available. There's different things out there. But one of the things I found just about a year ago now, and you could see my surprise when I found it and posted on the blog, was I found the death certificate for James J. Shovlin, which listed his parents' names, James Shovlin, making it much more difficult. And now I have her here listed as Mary Heron, his mother. It could very easily be Mary Herson. The way that it was written, the second R could very easily be an S. I have looked up families in Ireland, specifically in the north, areas where I know Shovlins are still in, and I've seen both Herons and Hersons. So it could go either way. For now, I'm going with Heron because there was actually a famous writer who lived in Donegal that wrote about the medieval times there named Heron. So I'm figuring that's the most likely. Now, I have had a lot of luck lately in finding information about James's wife, Elizabeth Fitzgerald. I recently was able to find her grandparents. That's her father, James Fitzgerald's parents, David and Mary. Now, the way I found this was tracking back James's information on Ancestry and then finding that he is most likely in a baptismal record and a marriage record for St. Mary's Cathedral in Cork, Ireland, for marriage to an Anne Fitzgerald, which follows Annie Dunn, and then the baptismal record for the same church several years earlier, right along when I have James being born, which listed the names of the parents, David Fitzgerald and Mary Duran. I currently have a message sent to the cathedral. They do have a genealogy outreach set up. So I reached out to them to get information about the Fitzgeralds they could send because I want to be absolutely certain that that is the correct family before I spend much more time diving into it, because Fitzgerald is a very common name, especially in Ireland. And I don't want to be chasing down the wrong path and the wrong routes. Now, this is an ongoing project. I have been working on it for 20 years. I've gotten it very far. As you can see, some branches only go back so far. The Perriates, you see it goes back another couple generations, but that's a recent find. Then I have the Roaches, who I have plenty of it going back multiple generations, as well as the Allens. In fact, I attended a family reunion lately with the Roaches and the Allens, where I was able to show a lot of my work, and that's kind of what has led to me taking this step here. So there's a quick introduction to my family, what I hope to do with this podcast. And it's going to be an ongoing process. I'll check in each week with what I've been finding, and things keep on happening. Like my big find this week has to do with someone on my Shovlin line, that being so my grandfather, great grandfather, great great grandfather, John Francis Shovlin, was married to Margaret Ann Garvin. She was born in Lowath, Claytor, Cumberland, England in 1871. Now, they think, oh, she's English, but actually the Garvins are Irish. In 1844, at the beginning of the Great Irish Famine, her family left Ireland and resettled in Cumberland in the UK, which is actually right on the Irish Sea, so it's just crossing the waters. And so far, I haven't found much going back into Ireland, But her parents, John Richard Garvin, Mary Elizabeth Foy, I've been having some luck getting some information about them. Now, John Richard Garvin's father, Thomas Garvin, he was one of my recent good finds of information. And that's with on my Son of Swift blog. I'm switching through this. This is making sure I do this correctly. So I have full archive. You see, I have well over 100 posts going back to 2013. Different updates on things I'm finding, fan charts, advice. But here is my latest post, the biography of Thomas Garvin. So this was one of those things where I found it through Ancestry, and it was actually a difficult find because although it was attached to other people, other family files, family trees on Ancestry, it was in their gallery and not listed in the facts or sources. So I was trying to find what tree it was attached to. It wasn't exactly the easiest find. But once I got it, I got this information about Thomas Garvin. He was born in Ireland around 1821 to 1824. In a letter written by his grandson-in-law, John Gallagher of Salem, Ohio, we are told that Thomas and two brothers were orphaned in Ireland. Neighbors took the children into their families. Thomas was taken to England, where he grew to manhood, married Bridget Sloane, either in England or Ireland. I do have Bridget having been born in Ireland, so that's likely. Bridget gave birth to their first child, John Garvin, that's my great-great-great-grandfather, in Ireland in 1844. The Irish potato famine, of course, being 1845 to 51. The family returned to England and settled in Egremont in the Whitehaven district of Cumbria. 4 more children were born: Mary, Thomas Jr., Edward, and Margaret. Thomas began work as an agricultural laborer and eventually joined other men in ore mines nearby. Continued this work for over 30 years. Thomas and Bridget raised their 5 children in the Whitehaven district of Cumbria. They moved from Egremont to nearby Claytor into, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, Claytor, figure that out, and a cottage down a path which led to Low Wath Mill and Ware. Here they lived out their lives. Their lives were church-oriented and work-centered. Their children's births and baptisms are all recorded at St. Mary's Priory in Claytor. Their children went to work at an early age, which was typical for the time. John, that is my ancestor, their eldest son, married Mary Foy at St. Mary's in 1863, at the time called St. Bega's. I did have that record already found. He lived in one of the cottages of Low Wath as a neighbor to his parents. I found them in the 1871 English census. John and Mary had made plans to emigrate to America at the time of their departure in 1872. They had 6 children. I did find them in the records of taking the passenger ship, the Egypt, to New York City, arriving in 1872. With some of their children, of course. The youngest were twins. Mary was expecting their 7th. Because one of the twins was frail, they left this baby, Mary Elizabeth, with John's parents, Thomas and Bridget, who raised her to age 13. Now, the other twin, Margaret, is my ancestor, is the one who married John Francis Shovelin. So it was getting quite a bit of the family history right there. It's disappointing to see that unfortunately, Thomas Garvin was an orphan, so it's very difficult to track down his parentage. We know that he had 2 brothers. We know that grew up in Ireland. Irish records are a bit less reliable in some ways. It's the church records mainly that help you. Oh, and I realized, I am sorry. It did not actually load the page I was expecting it to load. I apologize for that. It's a learning experience here. And that's here, the biography of Thomas Garvin. Now, this was written by a cousin named Margie Brubeck, who has her own tree that she's had on Ancestry. But then this was posted to Ancestry by another cousin, Jean Fox, on December 25th, 2012. And of course, much of this comes with the help of a grandson-in-law, John Gallagher, who is a great great uncle of mine. So a lot of information you find is from the benefit of your cousins, the people who have done their own research, the people who are also looking for it out there. So researching your family history helps you find more family and helps weave you closer together. So it's really becomes a beautiful thing knowing that through family history research, you can make your family bigger and fuller, tighter. And that's my primary goal. So that's it for my finds for this week. Would like to that this podcast is sponsored by Audible. Sign up for Audible, get your first 3 months free. Go to audibletrial.com/AS21, AOIS21. This is, of course, an AS21 Studios produced podcast. That is my own personal production company, AS21, meaning the Gaelic form of Century 21. But sign up today at Audible. Get your first 3 months free. You have to choose from over 120,000 audiobook titles. Anything that interests you, they most likely have an audiobook for you. There's guidance for genealogists. There's memoirs, stories and histories, all kinds of things that be able to expand your knowledge, your reading, expand your cultural understanding. And what's nice is once you sign up for Audible, any books that you download to you read to listen to, they are then yours forever. So you can always go back and listen to them again later on. So if you want to help me out in producing this podcast series and doing other work, go to audibletrial.com/AS21 and you won't regret it. For news during the course of the week, be sure to check us out on Tumblr, sonofswift.tumblr.com. And if you have a question, you can leave comments below. You can leave comments on the Son of Swift Tumblr, or you can email directly at shovelin@gmail.com. That's the Irish spelling, SEIBHLEA. Oh, excuse me. It's a long day. It's BIBHLEIN at gmail.com. Other than that, thank you for watching. For Son of Swift, I am Keith F. Shovelin, and I'll see you next week.